I think this is the ideal transport for a flooded town such as Doncaster or Tewkesbury, because a hovercraft simply glides over road signs, railings, cows, it's about everything really.
Gentlemen, I give you the future.
Is it? Are you suggesting that if you live in a town that might flood,
yeah,
you go everywhere on a hovercraft in preparation for that day when it does flood, if it does?
No. OK, you have a hovercraft for when it floods, but I'm saying we put wheels on the bottom of this, and then it's a normal car.
No, it isn't. It's a hovercraft with wheels on the bottom.
Or, this is my other plan, we get a car and turn it into a hovercraft, like this.
Oh, for God's sake.
No, he's on to something, because, well, if you think about it, a car already has an engine and wheels, and it's space for the passengers and space for the luggage. So all you need to do is add to that another engine to provide the lift, and another engine to provide the thrust.
There you go.
And some skirts around the bottom.
It's going to have to be quite big, this car.
But there are big cars.
Yeah.
Mercedes S-Class, that's big.
Rolls-Royce Phantom, that's
It's
massive.
expensive. Maserati Quattroporte, you can pick those up for next to nothing. You can put 3 engines in that and skirts and everything.
While Hammond went off to find a suitable car, I spent some time becoming even more expert at driving a hovercraft.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that.
And James headed off to Top Gear's secret amphibious engineering centre in the Yorkshire town of Penistone, just off St Mary's Street, behind Tesco's.
While Jeremy hangs around in the children's playground out there, I'll go through a few hovercraft absolute basics for you. If we imagine looking at it from the front, you have, this is very basic, a platform, you know, wherever you sit and all the rest of it. There's a huge fan inside which blows air downwards to form a cushion underneath. Now, the clever thing is, this is contained by a flexible skirt around the edge, and for this reason, it's sort of self-regulating, because a certain amount of this cushion of air escapes out of the sides, floating about pointlessly. So propulsion, you have generally another...
Sadly, before James had a chance to finish his interesting lecture, Hammond arrived with his car.
It's not really a car, is it?
No. It's a Ford Transit van, and it's perfect. Let me talk you through it. OK, what we've got here is, at the front, an engine to power the front wheels and drive it along. Behind that, seats, room for us. Behind that, room for our luggage. Here, room for an engine to provide lift, and at the back, room for another engine to provide thrust. What? It's practically a hovercraft already. I can see it. It's what we need.
With the van parked in the workshop and stop, Richard set to work mounting the 2 motorcycle engines that would provide lift and thrust. I, meanwhile, was making good progress with the skirts until the expert hover pilot arrived.
Sorry.
Thank you. And immediately started to complain that we wouldn't have enough power.
That is not big enough.
It is.
It isn't, it's titchy.
It's a 90 horsepower engine, and this is doing just the lift. I've got another 90 horsepower engine to do the thrust. That's a lot.
Is
Look,
it?
how much power has this got?
35.
And that's got to do both the lift and the thrust.
Yes.
I've got 2 engines to remember. Well, look, fire it up. Show you what that can do.
Hold on.
Right, so that's 35. See?
So
We've got many times that.
We've got 35 doing both. You've got 180.
Yeah, exactly right. The equivalent of 180 to your 35.
Well,
that is
I
plenty.
think that...
With the power issues settled, we went to work. Then, out on the proving ground, I uncovered a problem.
What are you doing?
Well, it turns out there are some surfaces where it doesn't work. I mean, it's all right on the wood and it's all right on the water.
This is because, think of scale. This is small. These rocks, by comparison, are enormous. If you scale that up... a real hovercraft, a full-size one, would go over
if
this
you think
easy.
about it, our hovercraft is going to need to go over, you know, churches.
Not a whole church.
But despite my concerns, the work continued.
My plan is to drive the van normally from the normal seat over there, and then you switch to this seat for hover mode.
Soon the engines were fitted, unnecessarily heavy items had been removed, and our van was ready.
Gentlemen, Christopher Cockrell, Barnes Wallis,
Fred Whittle.
You mean Frank?
whatever, they will all now be shivering in the cold, dark shadow of our magnificence.
It's utterly, utterly brilliant. Let me talk you through this thing, because along the side you'll see here are the skirts ready to be deployed when we switch to hover mode. Then at the back, if we look in here, you can see mounted amidships. That's the second engine that's powering the lift. Here at the back, the third engine that's powering the thrust, the fans, the rudder. It's actually quite beautiful.
But would it work? Well, to find out, we took it onto the streets of Penistone.
What I think is critical is that for 364 days a year, this has to just be a car, does it not?
Yep.
Just something you would use for shopping, taking the children to school, and it's absolutely perfect at that. I mean, we're driving around Penistone.
And there's nothing to tell me there's anything unusual about this.
What they don't realise is that when the River Penis bursts its banks, we're ready in a way that no one else is.
Yeah. Hey, what about a name? We haven't thought of a name.
Bob.
Transit fan.
Transit van.
Yeah.
I like that. Or we could just call it the hover van.
Hover van.